Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Dave from Fan Futsal, and welcome to the High Press. I'm hopped up on hot chocolate, ready to go here. We are on fanfutsal.com taking a look at our Pick'em feature, all the matches coming up in our Pick'em feature on fanfutsal.com for the weekend. Don't have a ton of time. Let's get into it. Take two. You can already see I've already made some predictions here, so bear with me. Wolfsburg versus Werder. I expect Wolfsburg to prevail in that one. Both clubs not having a good year, but I expect Wolfsburg to prevail. Las Palmas versus Sociedad. Las Palmas, first match in a while that they are not playing on Monday. Sociedad, tough loss last week, but I expect them to bounce back. Nantes versus Dijon. Nantes struggles to score goals. Dijon gives up bunches of goals. I expect Nantes to prevail in that one, maybe get some momentum going, get some goals in there. Nice versus Montpellier. Nice, third in Ligue 1. I expect them to get a home victory there. Tijuana versus Monterrey. Monterrey undefeated in the Clausura. Tijuana struggling the last couple weeks. I think it's two or three straight weeks where they haven't won. I expect that to end up as a draw. So Monterrey stays undefeated. Chelsea versus Swansea City. You know, Swansea's performing better under their new manager, but I don't see Chelsea losing in that one at home. So victory there. Palace versus Middlesbrough. Both clubs struggling. Borough haven't won in 8 matches. Palace have been bad all year. That ends up as a draw. Everton versus Sunderland. Everton, decent run of form, sitting 7th in the table, about where you'd expect them to be. Sunderland down in the relegation zone, about where you'd expect them to be. Everton with the home victory. Hull versus Burnley. Hull, better under their new manager, but still shaky form. Burnley, terrible on the road. One point all season on the road, but they get their second point there. Southampton versus Arsenal, that's postponed due to the FA Cup. West Brom versus Bournemouth, West Brom at home. Bournemouth really struggling recently. They haven't won in something like 6 matches or something like that. They're really struggling. Watford versus West Ham, both clubs comfortably mid-table, nothing really to write home about. They're not in the relegation fight, not fighting for Europe. That's going to end up as a draw. Bayern versus Hamburg. Hamburg had a decent run of form. Bayern, 2 draws and a win in their last 3, so stumbling a little bit by their standards, but they get things corrected, get a win there. Leverkusen versus Mainz. Leverkusen, tough loss midweek against Atletico in the Champions League. Mainz already lost to Werder last weekend, which was a surprise, but I like Leverkusen to bounce back from their midweek loss, get a victory, keep that momentum going in the league. Darmstadt versus Augsburg. Darmstadt, last in the league. Augsburg not doing very well either. 2 straight losses, but Darmstadt actually surprised, home victory there. Freiburg versus Dortmund. Freiburg comfortably mid-table. Dortmund finally up in the Champions League spots, about where you'd expect them to be. They're sitting in 3rd. I expect Dortmund to get a road victory there. Leipzig sitting 2nd, really putting the pressure on Bayern. They get a home victory over Köln. Hertha versus Eintracht Frankfurt. Both clubs coming off of, I think they both lost 2 in a row, or both haven't won in 2 matches. I like Hertha at home to get a victory there, though. Deportivo Alaves versus Valencia. Valencia, schizophrenic. Never know what to expect from that club, so always dangerous picking with them. They beat Real Madrid midweek. Alaves coming off a victory last weekend. I like Alaves at home, but really, you never know what you're going to get with Valencia. Sevilla versus Betis. Sevilla sitting 3rd in La Liga, still putting pressure on the clubs above them, still fighting for Champions League. I expect them to get a road victory there. Leganés versus Deportivo La Coruña, which is always fun to say. Leganés not doing very well, something like 11 matches in a row. That's what it is. 11 matches in a row where they haven't won. They're flirting very much with the relegation zone. La Coruña scores a bunch of goals, but I expect La Coruña to get a road victory there. Eibar versus Malaga. Eibar versus Malaga. That one will end up as a draw. Sorry, I'm thrown off a little bit. I just expect that one to end up as a draw. Both clubs mid-table, nothing much to play for. Napoli versus Atalanta. Napoli, highest scoring club in Serie A. Atalanta having a good year. This should be a good match. 3rd versus 5th, but Napoli prevails. Juve versus Empoli. This shouldn't be a good match. Juve first, Empoli 17th, not doing well. I expect Juve win. Guingamp versus Monaco. Monaco, highest scoring team in Europe. I expect them to get a road victory there. Nancy versus Toulouse. Nancy, lowest scoring team in Ligue 1. Toulouse, mid-table. I expect that one to end up as a draw. Bordeaux versus Lille. Nothing to write home about in this one. Both clubs out of the relegation zone. Both clubs coming off victories, but I like Bordeaux to keep that momentum going. Angers versus Bastia. Both clubs, Angers climbed out of the relegation zone. Bastia has sunk deeper into the relegation zone. I like Angers at home to get a win there. Rennes versus Lorient. Rennes haven't won since early December. But Lorient down worst team in Ligue 1. Rennes to get a home victory there. Querétaro versus Pumas. Neither club having a great year. Querétaro is coming off of two straight victories. Pumas falling a little bit further down the table, but I expect that to end up as a draw. Tigres versus Monarcas. Tigres not really struggling. Haven't won in 3 straight weeks. They got a win last week after 3 straight losses. That's what it was. I expect them to continue get a home victory there. Atlas versus Club Lyon. Lyon, worst team in the Clausura so far. Atlas to get a home victory there. Pachuca versus Veracruz. Pachuca, shaky form so far. Veracruz, though, has lost 2 in a row. Pachuca to get a home victory there. Cruz Azul versus America. Neither club's off to a good start. I expect that to continue with a draw there. Let's move on to Sunday. First match here is Stoke versus... First match here is Stoke versus... There it is. Stoke versus Tottenham. Tottenham been struggling recently. Lost in midweek in Europa League. I expect that to end up as a draw. The Manchester Derby is on break due to the FA Cup. Mönchengladbach gets a road victory over Ingolstadt there. Hoffenheim versus Schalke should be a good match. Schalke, no easy pushover at home. They're having a tough year, but Hoffenheim get a road victory there. Espanyol versus Osasuna. Osasuna, worst team in La Liga. Espanyol to get a home victory there. Atletico versus Barca, match of the weekend. Definitely the match of the weekend in La Liga. I like Atletico to get a road victory. To get a home victory here. Barca doing well in the league, but they just don't look right. And so that's going to put a lot of pressure on Luis Enrique. Athletic Club versus Granada. Athletic Club at home, I expect them to get a win there. Sporting Gijon versus Celta de Vigo. These clubs are similar. Should be a high-scoring match, but Celta de Vigo to get a road victory there. Villarreal versus Real Madrid. This should also be a really good match. First versus 4th, I believe, in La Liga, or 5th. I don't know where Villarreal has dropped to, but I expect this one to actually end up as a draw, which should make the title race interesting. Sampdoria on the road over Palermo. Genoa versus Bologna in the battle of who sounds more like lunch meat. Neither of them prevails, and that ends up as a draw. Cagliari versus Crotone. Crotone not doing very well, almost a certainty to get relegated. Cagliari, they're not doing very well either. Haven't won in 5, but they prevail and actually get their first win. Sassuolo versus AC Milan. AC Milan seems to have gotten things corrected. I expect them to get a road victory. Chievo versus Pescara. Pescara changed managers, got a big victory, first real victory of the year last week, but crashed down back to reality. Chievo gets a win there. Lazio versus Udinese. Lazio still fighting for Europe. I expect them to continue fighting, get a home victory there. Inter versus Roma. Great match, best match in Serie A this weekend. Inter to get a home victory there and all but secure the title for Juve. Saint Etienne versus Caen. That one ends up with a Saint Etienne victory. Lyon versus Metz. I expect Lyon to get a victory, although Lyon has been really odd the whole year. Olympique Marseille versus PSG, underrated match, should actually be a really good one. Marseille seems to have gotten things corrected over recent weeks. I think PSG going to be focusing on their match with Barca, and that one ends up as a draw. Toluca versus Puebla. Toluca first in Liga MX. Puebla got their first victory last week, but I don't think that really matters. Congrats to them, but I expect Toluca to get a victory there. Chiapas versus Chivas in the battle of the cheese. Chivas up to 2nd in the table. Chiapas had a fast start, but they have suffered 2 straight losses, and I think this becomes a 3rd. Chivas to get a victory there. Santos Laguna still undefeated on the year, and I think that they get a victory there to remain undefeated. Our Monday games are not pulling through on the site right now, but I will tell them to you. We will get that fixed. Oh, there they are. Excuse me. Leicester versus Liverpool. I expect Liverpool to win. Leicester sacked their manager, the FIFA manager of the year, and just almost out of spite, I hope they lose because I don't think there's any loyalty in soccer anymore. Lastly, Fiorentina versus Torino. Both clubs high scoring, should be a fun match, but I expect Fiorentina to get a win there. That is it for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Go to FanFutsal, check it out, play our games. Peace, everybody. Thank you. Bye.